Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to my Read Aloud series for, I always forget the name of this book. A look back at the rich history of the WWE Championship, Chapter 24, and this is called WCW's Final Days. If you want to check out my Read Aloud series for Chapters 1 through 23, click the playlist right up here. Let me just get right into it. This is going to be kind of a depressing chapter. This is a long chapter, too. It's like 10 pages. Very few superstars are able to reach sports entertainment's pinnacle the rookie year. Traditionally, a competitor spends years, sometimes decades, honing his craft before even being considerably worthy of a WWE Championship match. Randy Savage wrestled for 15 years before claiming his first title. Bret Hart bounced around for 16 years prior to his number being called. And Sergeant Slaughter had to wait an amazing 20 years before finally wrapping the gold around his waist. All of these men were great athletes, but then again, none were Kurt Angle. Armed with an extensive amateur wrestling background that included a 1996 Olympic gold medal, Angle was able to hit the ground running upon making his WWE debut in November 1999. Within months, he had added the European and Intercontinental Championships to his trophy case. He also defeated Rikishi to win the prestigious King of the Ring tournament in June 2000. Even though the casual fans could recognize that they were witnessing the start of something special, Angle's road to immortality would have to go through The Rock, whom he challenged for the WWE Championship at No Mercy. In the weeks leading up to the event, Rikishi revealed that he was the one driving the car that struck down Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series. Tired of seeing superstars such as Hulk Hogan and Austin thriving, the hate-filled Rikishi took out Stone Cold so that his fellow Samoan, The Rock, could become a megastar. Even though it doesn't make any sense because Rikishi wasn't even in the company at the time. The revelation not only shocked the fans, but also The Rock, who did not endorse the heinous act. When Rikishi hit the ring at No Mercy, he immediately charged toward Angle, but the challenger was able to pull The Rock in front of him at the last moment, resulting in the champ absorbing much of the force. Rikishi followed up his first miscue with yet another when he connected with a super kick to The Rock's chin. This allowed the challenger to sweep in and hit his signature Angle Slam on The Rock for the win. And here's a picture of Rikishi nails The Rock with a super kick. You can see Rikishi hitting the super kick on The Rock while Kurt Angle's down. Just 11 months into his career, Angle had captured sports entertainment's most coveted prize. Overcome by emotion, the new champ dropped to his knees and openly wept while clutching his new title. The scene was reminiscent of Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania 12 victory, only this time fans failed to join in on the celebration. Instead, they simply rolled their eyes at the new champ, whose oversized ego was growing by the moment. With the WWE Championship in his possession, Angle had the hardware necessary to back up his arrogant claims, and to the surprise of many, the relative newcomer also began picking up many monumental victories, including a win over the legendary Undertaker at November's Survivor Series and Hell in a Cell triumph over 5 other men at Armageddon in December. With each passing win, Angle's in-ring prowess began to earn him the respect of the crowd. They still hated him, of course, but they couldn't help but appreciate his athleticism. Down south, rival WCW answered with pay-per-view main events featuring Scott Steiner versus Booker T in November and Steiner versus Sid Vicious in December. Sprinkling into the undercards of these events were such lackluster matches as Mike Sanders versus Kiwi Mancow versus Jimmy Hart and Gemma Regression versus Shane Douglas. Clearly, WCW was fading fast. Rumors began to spread about the decorated company possibly being sold. In January 2001, those whispers became a reality when WCW.com announced that an Eric Bischoff-led consortium had acquired the company. The announcement, however, was premature. At the last moment, one of the Bischoff's key components backed out, leaving WCW without a buyer. Back in WWE, Angle will continue to roll. He defeated Triple H at the 2001 Royal Rumble, a bout with some help from the Stone Cold, and was preparing to defend against The Rock at No Way Out. For Angle, a win against The Rock meant so much more than retaining the title. If he could beat the Brahma Bull, he would also give him a spot. It would also give him a spot in the main event at WrestleMania, one of the few holes the champ still had on his resume. The Rock, on the other hand, had already tasted the limelight of a WrestleMania main event, and he used that experience to defeat Angle following 2 rock bottoms. The defeat gave the Brahma Bull his 6th WWE Championship and also reignited his epic rivalry with his upcoming WrestleMania opponent, Stone Cold. Over the next several weeks, The Rock and Austin successfully recreated the match they had 2 years prior, heading into WrestleMania 15. And like last time, fans could not get enough as Raw ratings doubled what WCW's Nitros was pulling in. By this time, though, most of the star power had been drained from WCW, as evidenced by the 2 top titleists. As an age, Rick Steiner was United States champion, while his brother Scott was world champ. WCW was on its last legs. If somebody didn't step in and buy the company, many assumed they would simply have to close their doors. Luckily, it never got to that point, thanks to the shocking announcement that WWE had purchased its rival. Fans learned of this on the historic March 26, 2001 Raw Nitro simulcast, which was actually only a few hours after many in WCW's locker room heard the news. The superstars were clearly stunned, but not by the sale itself. They had seen that coming years in advance. When the NWO kicked off, it was a great 2 years, says former WCW superstar Kevin Nash. Then Steve Austin and the Attitude Era got hot, and things began to shift. Once things started going in WWE's direction, we knew we didn't stand a chance against Vince's production. We were always a TV company who did wrestling, where WWE was a wrestling company. Even though Vince McMahon doesn't like to say that, he likes to say it's a sports entertainment company. I remember walking into TV that day after WrestleMania 17, I think that's 7. Roman numerals, hold on, let me just give me a second. Let me just look this up, because I'm not going to... after WrestleMania 14. And looking at Kevin Sullivan, he said, "Brother, I put my hand in the water and it's getting cold. We're about to hit the iceberg." That's when I knew the end was near. Less than a week after the sale, a handful of WCW superstars were invited to watch WrestleMania 17 from a skybox at the Reliant Astrodome, I think that says. Their new boss, Shane McMahon, introduced them to the packed house, calling the rival superstars his newfound friends. At that moment, it became painfully clear that the purchase of WCW was not fully embraced by a portion of WWE's fan base. Rather than cheering wildly at the introductions, many fans booed, while others refused to offer any response at all. The reaction in the WWE locker room was also mixed. Some superstars took great pride in helping their company win the Monday Night Wars, while others wished it had never reached such a decisive conclusion, including one half of WrestleMania 17's main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin. It would have been great if they had stayed in business. I had a lot of fun there, admits Austin. Me and Eric Bischoff buried the hatchet a long time ago. I don't have any animosity. My being fired actually turned out to be the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But I wish they were still hot right now. It would be such great competition. I really think there's enough room for everybody in this business. Despite Austin's wishes, there was no room for a failing WCW in this 2001 sports entertainment landscape. Poor business management coupled with sinking ratings made them a notable company. As a result, for the first time in WWE history, WrestleMania was broadcast without the threat of any competition, and its main events featured a WWE Championship belt between two of the greatest superstars to ever lace a pair of boots, Steve Austin and The Rock. At the time, both Stone Cold and The Rock were tremendous fan favorites, but because WrestleMania 17 was held in Texas, the crowd on this night heavily leaned toward Steve Austin, who hailed from Victoria, just 2 hours south of the Astrodome. In the end, it was this high level of admiration that made the night's final result so shocking and appalling. So sorry, my fucking nose is stuffy. With Stone Cold felled by a people's elbow, The Rock went for the apparent match-ending cover. But before the 3 count could be completed, Mr. McMahon, of all people, interfered on Austin's behalf. He then handed a chair to his longtime enemy and watched as the rattlesnake viciously laid into the champion. From there, pinning The Rock was a mere formality. After the match, Austin and McMahon solidified their shocking reunion with a handshake and a few beers. The victory gave Stone Cold his 5th WWE Championship, but on this night, nobody was talking about the title. Instead, everybody focused their attention on Steve Austin aligning himself with his arch enemy, Mr. McMahon. At the time, the sight of Austin instantly transforming into McMahon's ally certainly provided for compelling television. In retrospect, however, many now disagree with the shocking decision, including Stone Cold, who today admits that turning his back on the fans was not a wise career move. Let me see if I can, it doesn't, on camera, Steve Austin's deal with the devil could not have come at a better time for Mr. McMahon. Actually, it doesn't, so yeah, I'm just going to talk about this real quick. I know it's a lot to talk about. So obviously, Stone Cold Steve Austin turned heel in 2001. I feel like it's probably one of the worst booking decisions they ever made. Austin was the one that came up with the idea, because he felt like he was getting stale as a babyface, and he wanted to give his character a fresh start. So obviously, turning heel what he thought was the best thing for him. Well, one, they turned him heel in Texas, and Austin could have shot The Rock in the ring with a gun, and he would have gotten cheered. Austin was just way too over in Texas to turn heel, and that's what started the bad decision. Also you have the fact that, Austin was just too over to turn heel. Everybody loved Austin at the time. He was a great character, and nobody really wanted him to turn heel. And the fact that he aligned himself with Vince McMahon, a guy that he always rebelled against, didn't really feel right. Obviously, too, it just kind of felt like that now that the WWF were the only company in business, WWF had bought out WCW and ECW, it felt like they were just like, you know what, we don't have any competition, we can do whatever the fuck we want now, so let's turn Austin heel. And it was just stupid. It actually ruined, it was like probably because WrestleMania 17 I thought was a great WrestleMania, probably one of the best WrestleManias maybe to ever happen. When I do a WrestleMania review series, I'll talk more about this. But this ended up being a huge mistake for WWF, I thought. It ruined a great match between Austin and The Rock because they were actually outdoing their match for WrestleMania 15, but that finish just really hinders the match. Yeah, it's just terrible booking decision. So let me continue. On camera, Steve Austin's deal with the Devil could not have come out at a better time for Mr. McMahon. Just months after driving the old WCW into extinction, the new WCW, led by Shane McMahon, was threatening to return the favor. Behind the force of his newfound friends, the younger McMahon devised a plan to extinguish the legacy his father had spent a lifetime building. But if he was going to be successful, he knew he was going to need more than just Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, and the handful of other WCW names he had under contract. So he formed an alliance with ECW, who had just been acquired by his sister, Stephanie McMahon. The partnership added the likes of Rob Van Dam, Mike Awesome, and Lance Storm to Shane's quest to run his father out of business. I hate reading about this. To fend off his children's partnership, Mr. McMahon formed an impressive combination of superstars led by new ally and WWE champion Steve Austin, Undertaker, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Kurt Angle joined Stone Cold for the highly anticipated showdown against the Alliance's Booker T, DDP, Rhino, and the Dudleys at the Invasion pay-per-view. Heading into the event, many assumed Team WWE would prove their superiority and give Mr. McMahon the win he always gets when he's backed against when his back is against the wall. But those predictors failed to take into account one superstar's bruised ego. Finally, Mr. McMahon was favoring Kurt Angle over him. A disappointed Stone Cold actually turned against his own team at Invasion and nailed the Olympic gold medalist with a stunner. The blow gave the Alliance what they needed to pick up the crucial victory. Even worse, Mr. McMahon's champion, the WWE champion, had defected to WCW/ECW. I'm going to give my thoughts on this at the end. With the emotionally fragile Steve Austin now in the enemy camp, Mr. McMahon assigned Angle the heavy task of going into Unforgiven to bring the gold back home. Little did anybody know Austin versus Angle would mean so much more than the WWE Championship. 2 weeks before Unforgiven, the United States was rocked by the tragic events of September 11, 2001. WWE fans and superstars alike took a monumentary step back from the rivalries to remember and respect those who lost their lives on this senseless day. I'm not going to say what happened because everybody should know. When the time was right, Americans slowly began to live their lives again, but it was an obvious struggle. They soon looked for a reason to smile again, and they needed a reason to cheer. WWE fans, looking for an escape, turned to their Olympic gold medalist and American hero, Kurt Angle. With an entire nation of fans by his side, a red, white, and blue clad Angle defeated Steve Austin for the gold at Unforgiven. The win brought the championship back to WWE, but more important, provided America with some relief from the grieving that came after 9/11. And here's a picture of Kurt Angle holding the WWF championship on that day, and everybody applauded him. Kurt Angle's patriotic victory is a memory that will permanent placement top WWE's list of all-time great moments. His championship reign, on the other hand, was very temporary. Just 2 weeks after beating Stone Cold and Unforgiven, the Olympic gold medalist lost the championship back to Austin on an episode of Raw. The win gave the Texas Rattlesnake his 6th WWE Championship, a record he shared with The Rock at the time. Seeing his WWE Championship back around his waist of an Alliance superstar infiltrated Mr. McMahon, who finally looked to end the insanity by challenging his rival to a winner-take-all match at Survivor Series. Representing his team was Chris Jericho, Undertaker, Big Show, Kane, and The Rock. Team Alliance was comprised of new turncoat Kurt Angle. So you have Kurt Angle this. I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm gonna wait to bitch about this after this. I'm done talking about this Alliance Angle storyline. Booker T, Rob Van Dam, Shane McMahon, and WWE Champion Steve Austin. In the end, it was Austin turning on the Alliance and helping Team WWE get the win. No, sorry. In the end, it was Angle turning on the Alliance and helping Team WWE get the win, thus ending WCW forever. ECW returned a few years later, only to close shop again in early 2010. Time to bitch! Okay. So WWF had this grand opportunity to do the invasion angle with WCW. You know, this was an angle that everybody wanted. You know, everybody wanted to see WCW's best go against the WWF's best, right? Right? The WWF fucked this up. Now, it's not completely their fault, because they couldn't buy out certain contracts. Because obviously the NWO's was expensive, Sting was expensive, Ric Flair's, Goldberg's, you know, all that stuff. But the WWF could have found ways to do this. They could have made them, they had probably enough money to buy out these contracts. Because they just bought fucking WCW and ECW, but they chose not to. They shat all over this invasion angle. You know, you had superstars that were just mid-card superstars in WCW, like Booker T, where he really wasn't a main eventer until the end of WCW. You know, Diamond Dallas Page, it was actually cool to have him there, but they used him as a stalker for The Undertaker's wife, and had him just have this dumb heel thing, and they used him like shit. And then you had, who else was in there? Buff Bagwell, not really much of a top star. I think he did have X-Pac in there, but he really wasn't utilized that well. Obviously, they just shat all over that storyline. You had such great chance to make this storyline work. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin join with the WCW side. What the fuck? Stone Cold Steve Austin joined with the WCW side. A guy that was your heart and soul of WWF, who helped you during the Monday Night Wars. He was on the WCW side. Fuck that. You know, he had so many people turning their back. You literally had Kurt Angle turn heel right after the 9/11 bombings. Well, the 9/11 attacks, I should say. Sorry. He was the American hero. You had Kurt Angle turn heel. And then, it just really didn't make any fucking sense. It was just, the invasion angle was just such a waste. It was probably one of like the worst storylines ever, just because of how much hype it had behind it, and like it was the most misbooked opportunity ever. Like, what the fuck? What a fucking stupid ass storyline. I'm gonna fucking keep reading it. I just got pissed off reading that. Fuck that. Just shat all over WCW. The last two guys in that Survivor Series match was The Rock, who was holding the WCW title, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was not an invasion angle. Fuck that. Continuing. And obviously we know what happened to ECW when they brought that back. Oh my gosh. That was fucking great. Fuck off. Finally, after decades of competition, there was only one true force in the sports entertainment world, WWE. But there were two champions, WWE champion Steve Austin and world champion, formerly WCW champion, The Rock. Believing there was no room for two champions in one company, Mr. McMahon announced a 4-man tournament for vengeance. In the first round, Austin would defend his title against Angle, while The Rock would put his gold on the line against Jericho. The winners of those matches would advance to the finals, where WWE would crown the first ever undisputed champion. Heading into Vengeance, many fans assumed they would see an Austin Rock final. It just seemed natural, considering they were the two biggest names at the time, and both walked into the events as champions. Stone Cold kept up his end of the bargain by defeating Angle after a jaw-jacking stunner. But The Rock surprisingly fell to Y2J, resulted in a Austin Walk final for the undisputed WWE Championship. I don't have a lot of memories of the match, other than I stunk, admits Austin. I was living pretty fast at the time. and I was just scrambled both physically and mentally. That match was a complete phone in the jog for me. And hell, I didn't even phone it in. I got hung up on. It was one of my worst matches ever. It didn't have anything to do with who I was in the ring with. I really liked Jericho and consider him a friend. I was just phrase-zoned and wanted the night to be over. Thanks to some outside interference, it was over rather quickly. After a little more than 10 minutes of action, Booker T nailed Stone Cold from behind with one of the championships, allowing Jericho to make the cover and become the first ever undisputed WWE champion. Even during WWE's early days, there was always a competed promotion whose champion could right or wrong claim ownership of the real world title. For Bruno Sammartino, it was NWA's Lou Thesz. For Bob Backlund, it was AWA's Nick Bockwinkel. For Hulk Hogan, it was NWA/WCW's Ric Flair. But on this night, there was just WWE, and there was no disputing its claim to sports entertainment, only world champion Chris Jericho. It was the equivalent of winning an Oscar, says Y2J, reflecting on his groundbreaking place in the history. Nobody ever did it before, and it's something nobody could ever take away from me. That was such a huge honor for me, and I took it very seriously, especially The Rock and Austin being involved. And then you see pictures of it. Let me get it. Here's a picture of Chris Jericho versus The Rock in their match in Vengeance. And then this is the picture of Chris Jericho winning the Undisputed Championship. And they do still talk about it today because it's a huge accomplishment. You know, Chris Jericho defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock on the same night to become the first ever undisputed WWE champion. It's a huge accomplishment. It's something that nobody can ever take away from him. But that's pretty much it, guys. I've said everything I needed to say. I got the shit on Stone Cold Steve Austin's heel turn. I got the shit on the invasion angle they did. So, yeah. I like doing these Read Aloud series because I get to talk about stuff I never really get a chance to talk about on this channel. So I do like doing this. But that's pretty much it, guys. Please make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and Owen the Talkinator channel. And make sure to also subscribe to this channel for more content. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.